Oh, I didn't. You know what? I forgot to see if Ron texted back. God damn it.
Oh boy.
Can I do that? I guess I can.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're gonna have Derry at 10:45 and Ron at 11:15.
There we go.
Cool.
He hasn't got back to me, so
Do what?
he didn't get back to me.
Well, we'll call.
I'll just sit and call him at 11:15. I can email him too.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew that was going to happen. Okay. That's hilarious.
That's about right. Let's see, where is Derry's? Oh, here we go.
We're
Let's
all
see.
those capsules.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to read them all so we can figure out.
Without that, I'm toast.
Another storm? Oh, it's going toward Ireland. Ophelia. Do hurricanes hit Ireland? I don't think I've ever heard of
I
anything.
don't think I've ever heard of that either. Rummel's playing Jesuit this weekend. Tonight at Ullman. They better win 60-0.
God. Look at the top three stories. NOP officer shot dead. Covington lawyer accused of distributing child porn. Accused Uptown Peeping Tom.
I know that guy.
You're kidding?
No.
Covington lawyer?
Yeah. I don't really know. Like we went
Victor
to LSU at the
Larosso.
same time.
Damn.
Yeah.
You know, so he's not like a running buddy or anything?
No. No. Yeah, I got a text chain like all on my phone, like us talking about him. Okay. Whoa, look how zoomed in it is. Ooh.
Yeah,
You don't even see the ladder anymore.
Yeah, right. Oh shit! Forgot to put the thing in there.
Jeff curses again.
Where is it? This thing?
Well, actually, no one heard him.
Is it the microphone?
I don't think, at least. Well, we are, but Jeff's now scrambling with a cord. Here we go.
But is this gonna work? Wait, it's the... Great.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to do it this way. I think this will work.
At least it moves, so you'll be all right.
I got it. That's not it. I hear music.
Dunc and Holder on a Friday the 13th, and we're already Keystone cops here at Dunc and Holder in our NOLA.com Time Speaking studio. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan is literally off the YouTube live stream. He is hunting for a cord. Hey, I know you're not a Cubs guy. You're a Giants guy as far as baseball. But all I know, Jeff, is that I watched nearly a 5-hour, 9-inning game last night, and it was one of the most stressful games I've ever watched in my entire life.
Yeah, I was out at a restaurant last night, and everybody was gathered around the TV, living and dying with each pitch. And the Cubbies came through. They nailed it down. Never a doubt.
Well, always a doubt. Are you kidding me? I texted, of course, our buddy Todd Grappanini, who is a Dodgers guy, and I texted him once. Michael Taylor hit a 3-run bomb and it went up 4-1. I said, oh, I'll be cheering for the Dodgers. And he says, in all caps, typical Todd Grappanini style, it's not over. And, of course, it was not over. And it was one of the more, I would say, outside of Game 7 of the World Series last year, it was one of the more physically taxing games I've ever watched. And I'm not one to be fanboy. Look, I'm an LSU alum. I don't get crazy as far as LSU stuff. Maybe one former colleague, she still gets crazy about that. But
right.
I do not. I've played even keel. I've seen it a million times. But hey, Cubs, I am one to where I'm going to be invested in it. And I've got the giant can of energy drink. I'm not going to give it a free plug
endorsement,
because look, all I got to do is look at YouTube Live and you can't see it in the screen, so that's good. I probably should be shotgunning it because I'm like, my body hurts from being so tense last night.
Well, it sets up for a great National League Championship Series against the Dodgers, who've kind of dominated all year long, and then you got the defending champs. So I might actually even tune in, although I will be rooting wholeheartedly for the Cubs. Being a Giants fan, cannot root for the Dodgers.
You're not going to be a Clayton Kershaw guy.
No, they are the evil empire. But look, it's time to start tuning in to the baseball playoffs, because about this time of year, the Astros, right? They're still
Astros are in it, and look, it's their first ALCS, and they're taking on the Yankees. So there are some huge markets, some intriguing storylines, and honestly, I know there are a lot of Astros fans probably here in town, since they're the closest team to New Orleans, and if you're going to have a rooting interest, if you're not die-hard rooting interest in one of the 4 teams, might as well just cheer for Alex Bregman, because he has been a stud for the Astros, and he came up huge in the playoffs already.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually reprise that poll that we did earlier in the year as a form of a column, because I think we'll have all 3 once the NBA starts up next week. Ben Simmons will be on the court for the Sixers.
Finally.
Yes, and we'll have, of course, Fournette, who's gotten off to an incredible start for the Jaguars in the NFL, and we'll have Bregman in the ALCS. So it'll be interesting to have all 3 of these former LSU greats. They were all in school at the same time. That's what's so unusual about it. They were all there together, and arguably three of the, well, I mean, what was Fournette's pick in the draft? It was
Fourth.
Fourth. Bregman went high, right?
Bregman went, I'd like to say number 2.
Yeah, he was in the top 5, and
Ben Simmons went 1.
Right. So how often does that happen? Maybe never. I assume never.
Probably, that's probably a safe assumption because
Maybe.
you don't hit the trifecta like that.
Yeah, maybe nowhere in all of college sports has that happened. We know it had happened at LSU. So we'll see. It'll be fun to watch for LSU fans. And Alex Bregman was a great guy to cover. I mean, he was like a major league player when he was a freshman. He knew where he was going. I mean, he was just that capable of a player. Very similar to Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons already was acting like an NBA player at LSU.
Yeah, you think not going to class and who knows what who knows? I have no idea. I'm not going to speculate, but hey, since college basketball is a giant cesspool right now, you could just assume the worst.
Yeah.
with anyone. But look, Friday show, always a big show, of course, and we're going to have Jim Derry on around 10:45. We'll talk prep football action, big weekend. And I will say big rivalry game at Ullman Stadium tonight. Certain team on Bank Street will be taking on a certain team on Severn and Metairie that needs a rebound after a double overtime loss to Holy Cross last week. So we'll talk with him about that. And then Jim's game of the week, big time game, Riverside against Newman. So that's going to be a huge game. Of course, 2 storied programs, and so Jim will be doing that over the airwaves on NOLA.com. So we'll talk with him about that and the rest of the big matchups. Then 11 o'clock hour, we'll have Ron Higgins on, our LSU SEC columnist. Of course, LSU taking on Auburn. We've talked a lot about this game already this week, and we will continue the discussion. And you'll also hear some audio from Drew Brees and Teron Armstead as Saints taking on the Lions. And Jeff, you look at that game, Saints-Lions, and it's a game where you kind of feel a way when the Saints played Seattle. Was it last year? And they beat them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Detroit Lions are kind of primed to be beaten here. That it's the right time. You've got Haloti Ngata's out for the year. Matt Stafford's banged up. The Saints are getting some pieces back. It looks like Willie Snead's going to play. It looks like Teron Armstead's going to play. It's setting up for the Saints to possibly – look, I predicted the Saints to beat the Lions. I think you did too. Mm-hmm. And so it's setting up for the Saints to be able to finally get to above 500 for the first time since 2013.
It certainly seems that way, and that's always a scary proposition. I notice Pro Football Focus does their weekly picks, and every single – prognosticator pick the Saints. I always hesitate when I see everyone in the public and all the experts picking one side, especially in the NFL, especially this season, the way things have gone, because it's been such a wide open year. But all indications are the Saints are an ascending team. That's what Drew Brees said this week, and I kind of feel that way. And the betting line indicates that it's going up. It's gone up to 4.5. I think it started out at 3. So most of America right now thinks the Saints are going to win as well. That's always scary, and always, after the way Detroit played last week at home, they laid an egg against Carolina. They're going to come out playing well. I think they're going to play a lot better. And Sean Payton even indicated this turnoverless streak. It's been somewhat fortunate. He made the points against Miami. They basically put the ball on the ground like 2 times, I think, and threw a pass that could have been picked off. So they've been fortunate, but if they go this game without a turnover, they'll be the first team in NFL history to start a season with 5 games without a turnover. That's pretty impressive.
That's amazing, exactly. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. We're going to have a couple of open segments as well, so you can get you involved in the show. And we've already got Brother in Metairie, theme song and all. What's up, brother? Thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. I told Jeff to watch his back because Jason might be literally lurking behind our little Duncan Holder banner right here and they're going to smash through us and chop us up with a machete. Look out for it. Well, I'll tell you what, my dad is a huge Yankees fan. So the fact that he's a Yankees fan and I'm a Cubs fan, it's definitely polar opposites in my house basically my entire life.
Yes, for sure.
All right, brother, big win he's predicted, 31-21. I'm not that confident in the game, but I did pick. It's already public now, so who cares? I picked Saints 24, Lions 21. So I didn't pick them to cover, but I picked them to win. And look, you look at the Lions, and the Saints have had all kinds of issues with the Lions. They have lost the last 3 games against them the past 3 years. It's amazing that they played them every year the past 3 years, but they've lost every game, and obviously they're doing something right against the Saints. And but I do think that the Saints have momentum. The Lions banged up, even though they fought back against Carolina, couldn't get it done. And I just think the Saints are primed to pick up this win, and who knows what happens after that? Because you and me have talked about after this, we don't think they're going to go up in Green Bay and win. So this is an essential game that the Saints need to pick up if they want to make a push for the postseason going forward.
Yeah, and also I know we're in week 6 here, so a little premature to talk about postseason, but it is one of those games. It's a conference game, and if you aspire to get in the playoffs, these are the kind of games that could play a factor if you get into tiebreakers and things down the road, because I think Detroit's going to be in the mix, at least for a wild card. They certainly seem that way. They're 3-2 right now. If they go to 3-3, who knows? But they've been in the playoffs in the past. I think they went a year ago, right? Got eliminated pretty quickly. But every one of these wins is important. That's what Drew Brees was saying this week. And the fact that the Saints got that road win at Carolina, that's going to end up being huge down the road. It's a conference, a division game on the road. I think if you can go 4-2 in this division, in your division games, you're in great shape.
Well, specifically in this division, because I think any team could probably beat any team on any given day. You know, it's the old cliche, any given Sunday. But I think the 4 teams that are in the NFC South, if they were in other divisions, they'd probably have a better shot because they're all going to beat each other up. It's almost like the couple of years ago, I'm not going to say this year, but a couple of years ago, say in the SEC West, when you just everyone
right.
beats each other up. I feel like the NFC South is that same kind of division this year.
Yeah, so if you think the Saints can get a win against Carolina when they come back to the Dome, and then just split with Tampa Bay and Atlanta, preserve home field advantage, win your home games, you go 4-2 in the division, that could be enough in this season, the way things are going.
All right, let's take one more phone call, and then we'll take a quick break right here on the show. Let's hit up Minnesota. Cordell. Man, it's regular caller Friday, first segment. I like it. What's up, Cordell? Thanks for calling the show. We're doing great. Sure. Hey, Cordell, appreciate the phone call. Why don't we marinate on that topic? Yeah. And
it's a good question.
We will gather our thoughts. Let's take a break right here. When we come back, we will discuss this. Because let me tell you, I'll just say
short answer: yes.
Yes, exactly. But I could just tell you in general. Look, I wrote a column this week, and it wasn't pretty about Adrian Peterson, and some people were not happy with it, and you deal with it.
We can give you some different anecdotes about it's part of the trade, it's part of the business. When you write opinion, that you're going to ruffle feathers, and some people aren't going to like it, some people are going to like it, but it's part of your job. You got to do it. So we'll talk about it when we come back.
Absolutely. So let's take a quick break right here on the show, and don't forget, Jim Derry, around 10:45, we'll break down the prep football weekend. 11:15, we'll have Ron Higgins talk LSU Auburn. Of course, Ron Higgins is our LSU SEC columnist on a Country Fried Friday. Look, I'm in. I guess Friday the 13th can't supersede Country Fried Friday. Not happening. So, good stuff from Dave back in the iHeart studio. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeart radio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
I think we're screwed.
Uh-oh.
Because I think that cord that plugs in the mic, that comes out of here,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've got it. I think it's like DeMocker got it, because DeMocker used it when we did the YouTube feed.
Oh, jeez.
It seemed like there was another one somewhere, right? I mean, it seemed like Clyde was using.
Oh, shit. I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah. But I don't remember specifically. But yeah, I mean, I've been.
This is a nightmare.
It's certainly been that. Or where's Larry? Like, where's Larry?
Wait, maybe this works.
Yeah.
This might work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it's gonna work.
That's one of the most incredible victories I've ever been part of. I know a lot of people are probably saying the same thing, but under the circumstances, in the other team's ballpark after a tough loss at home, to come back and do that, give our guys all the credit in the world.
2 hits and 4 RBIs for the Cubs. Addison Russell, Wade Davis saved it, securing the final 7 outs. Chicago will visit the Dodgers tomorrow night in Game 1. Game 1 for the Yankees and Astros in Houston tonight in the ALCS. Masahiro Tanaka against Dallas Keuchel. A federal appeals court has lifted the injunction that blocked the 6-game suspension for Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott. The NFL saying his suspension begins immediately. Elliott, though, still has some legal options. On the field, 3 TD passes for Carson Wentz. The Eagles beat the Panthers 28-23. Philly now 5-1. The Panthers are 4-2. That's sports. Frank Arity, NBC News Radio.
Osteoporosis and low bone mass are estimated to be a major public health threat for almost 44 million women and men 50 and older. I'm Marjorie McGinn, President and Executive Director of Women in Government. You're never too old or too young to improve the health of your bones, especially postmenopausal women and people with low bone density. Talk to your health.
Coming back.
Visit womeningovernment.org.
Funding provided by Novartis Pharmaceuticals.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the show on a Country Fried Friday, and let's follow up with Cordell in Minnesota. Had a couple questions for us, and we needed maybe a minute or two to marinate on the topic. But let's start with the easy question. When is Delvin Breaux going to be coming back? Look, if you're designated to be on short-term IR, which he's not, he's just strictly right now on injured reserve, but he is able to come back whenever the 6-week span passes, and it's not 6 games, it's 6 weeks, and then you get a 2-week buffer. So basically you're out 8 weeks, and you're eligible to come back if they deem him that. So right now the Saints would be in that, 6th week? Because this is their 5th game, they had a bye.
Correct.
This is their 6th week.
Correct.
So what you do there is you see where he is. You can deem him short-term IR. And remember, the Saints have 2 short-term IR spots. Every NFL team does. It's new this year. So Delvin Breaux could be coming back in a couple weeks if they feel necessary. And Look, I know Ken Crawley, and I know P.J. Williams, and I know Marshawn Lattimore is playing well right now, but you could use every speck of depth at cornerback, and so I think the Saints are going to try to get Delvin Breaux back as quickly as they can.
Yeah, I think once they get Breaux back, you could argue that they will have their best trio of corners in a long time. With Breaux, the way Lattimore's playing right now, and Ken Crawley. Now, Ken Crawley's got a 2-game body of work. You know, I mean, I've seen these tweets of Pro Football Focus where he's ranked. I'm thinking, let's slow the roll a little bit. I mean, he's played 2 games. One of them was against the god-awful Miami Dolphins. Now, that was a great play he made in the end zone, no question. But I'll pass a little more judgment on Crawley after I see him against Green Bay and Detroit.
And the other game was against Cam Newton when he looked pitiful. I mean, he looked pitiful. He was the Cam Newton that you saw last night against the Eagles, throwing picks everywhere.
Inaccurate.
Exactly. He wasn't the Cam Newton who played New England, and he wasn't the Cam Newton who
Detroit.
beat Detroit. Exactly. So it's amazing how much he can fluctuate by the week. It's
inconsistent. But going back to what Cordell said about whether we write columns that upset sources and do coaches give you the cold shoulder, it depends on the level of acrimony and the intensity of the column. I wrote a column a few years ago about the organization, the Saints organization, and that Tom Benson should sell the team, and that had definitely some blowback from that column. It's still, to some degree, being felt, but people still deal with you. I mean, it's part of being a professional, and I've had some run-ins with some head coaches over the years. I think any sports writer that's done it, especially a columnist, has had run-ins. It happens, but usually it's a very brief thing, and people move on. I know Sean Payton for a long time, for instance, didn't talk to Peter King. We had Peter King on the program here earlier this year, and he talked about it. I mean, I think it was about 3 or 4 years that he didn't even talk to Peter King because of his coverage of Bountygate. I had a similar relationship with Peyton in that he didn't talk to me for a while, but we get along fine now. These things happen, and it comes and goes with what you write.
Yes, and I think enough people, if you've covered my work for long enough, know that I've had run-ins, of course, with Sean Payton, but you basically work through them because you understand, at least he understands that. You got a job to do, and even if I write harsh columns, I think the vast majority of the time, if I'm not off base, and so they're not going to come and start screaming at me because they understand what's been going on the past few years. And if you write a column and say, well, Saints are just whatever, mediocre again, what are they going to do? I mean, they're not going to just be irrational most of the time. But look, I've had almost an infamous story that involved me when Outside the Lines did a story about Sean Payton being a jerk to the media, and my name was specifically brought up. I was the only person who was specifically brought up on the Outside the Lines story. And did we have run-ins? Sure, but Sean and I were good at that time, and so I came out and actually defended him, and he appreciated me defending him because he said, "Look, you didn't have to do that, but I did it," and I'm never going to forget this because I'm in a headline, and it's on Pro Football Talk, and it's key interviews not had on Outside the Line story, Bill Parcells and Larry Holder.
Oh, you should have kept that.
I will never be in a headline with Bill Parcells ever again in my life. It's pretty amazing that happened. But no,
as long as you're fair.
Right.
As long as you're fair.
I could tell you this. Jeff and I were not, I got no problem throwing this guy under the bus. We're not Skip Bayless. We don't write things or say things for shock value. We write and say things what we think. If we feel like the Saints are playing well, we're going to certainly tell you. If we feel like they made a bonehead move, we're going to tell you. I mean, that's just what it is. And, Jeff, it's interesting with me because people ask me, and they'll go in our comment section, are you from New Orleans? Are you a Saints fan? Well, I am. I grew up here. And so people wonder how can I look at the team in a certain way and say if I think the team stinks, and I write it and it's not a popular opinion. They say, how can you do that? Well, my job's not to be a fan. My job is to be someone who, at least to the best of my ability, tell you like it is.
Yeah, we don't earn paychecks from the New Orleans Saints. We earn paychecks from Advance Media, which owns the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com. And as I've mentioned to people many times, the Saints are 50 years old or 51 years old, and the Times-Picayune is 186 years old. It was here a long time before the Saints were, and our job as journalists is to call it like we see it.
And our jobs as columnists is to have an opinion. That's our job. We sift through sometimes the nonsense, whatever coach speak or players talk or whatever. You got to sift through that. And I mean, we're in positions because we have experience. Like, I've covered the team for more than a decade. You've covered this team for nearly 2 decades. You're in this position, and so you have the know-all to kind of sift through that, and you also feel like you probably have kind of the backbone to say, look, I'm going to write this, and public, opinion be damned, because I'm going to write what I feel, and we're just not going to sugarcoat things.
Yeah, it's not your job to be popular. It's your job to tell the truth, or a reasonable facsimile of the truth as you see it. But it's not going to be a popular opinion. My opinions on Bountygate were not popular locally, but I still feel like they were spot on, and I still feel like we needed to show that. The organization needed to be reprimanded for the way they handled that, and I still think that they handled it poorly, and I think it bore out over the years. So, but anyway, getting back to our point, I would say this. Sean Payton, when he came in here, his first go-around early on as a head coach, had a lot of what would you call it? He was much more sensitive about things that were written about him. And I think as a young head coach, he would get into a lot more back and forth with reporters. He's much easier to deal with now, I think, just because he's been in the role for a while and he's learned what's important, what's not. He still reads everything. He's still aware, but he doesn't what I call joust windmills with the media. He used to, I think, try to adopt this us against the world mentality, and the media's against us, and everybody in this locker room is in it together, and outside this locker room. I think he realizes that doesn't hold water in the NFL, and that's not what wins games. And he's just, I think, grown as a head coach. And very rarely do we have any huge blowback from him on columns like you used to early on.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So why don't we take a break right here on the show as we went off on journalism tangent.
Journalism 101.
I know, but no, it's a viable topic, especially with our show. Look, we're a talk show. We give our opinions and we write our opinions. So just a little insight of where we're coming from when we write some of these things and talk about some of these things. But no, when we get back, let's hear from Drew Brees. Let's hear what he had to say about the Lions. And he knows this is a critical game. He's not going to say, oh, it's a must-win, but they understand what they need to get done this weekend. And the fact that they can get above 500 for the first time since 2013. I know Drew Brees kind of shied away from the topic, but guess what? That's important. So we'll hear from Drew Brees coming up here next. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Your forecast on Sports 1280,
yeah, I did
New
too.
Orleans.
Yeah. It's unusual.
This report is brought to you by
I think it's just because of the
Dornax
YouTube.
Food
I think
Center.
it started once
from the Fox
you
8 Weather
that
Center.
into.
I'm meteorologist Shelby
not that
Latino,
bad.
and while we'll
I'm
see
surviving
slightly
it,
less humidity around today, temperatures will still climb into the upper 80s, making for a warm afternoon. And overnight, we'll fall into the upper 60s on the North Shore, low 70s on the South Shore, ahead of another warm afternoon tomorrow, with highs getting to near 90.
Yeah,
from the Fox
days
8
like
Weather
today,
Center, I'm meteorologist
it'd be
Shelby
great if we had an
Latino.
hour show.
Have a great day.
Shop Dornax Food Center today and save on the
2
widest
hours is
selection
a
of
long
wine and
time.
cheese.
I'm like,
Bottles of Francis Coppola Claret,
We're
Cabernet
halfway through the
Sauvignon are
first
only
hour.
$12.99. Plus, freshly grated domestic Romano cheese is only $8.99 a pound. Only at Dornax Food Center, 710
Still haven't heard
Veterans in
from
Metairie.
We believe that the best Halloween ever
ever is yours for the taking. That's why HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart has over 10,000 costumes, including 2,000 made exclusively for you. Your favorite movie, your favorite artist, your favorite food. We have them all, from video games to fairy tale princesses, in sizes infant to adult 8X. 10,000 options await you at HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart. And why HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart? Because we're partnering with them to get you 15% off. Go to HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart and own Halloween.
As a small business owner, you make
1 minute.
What could you do with $10? Go to Vistaprint.com.
Are you good on all those breeze
high-quality
cuts?
custom business cards.
Yeah, I'm gonna go punch Jeffrey in the face later.
And at
Jeff
Print,
puts you to work, man.
One little thing about Star Wars.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18 cuts, Jeffrey
18
Duncan.
cuts?
Oh, well, I just put them all in there. We don't have to use them all.
Oh, that's even worse.
But I don't know that, Jeffrey, so I put them all in because I'm a diligent worker.
Masterpiece.
God dang it.
Oh, sorry about that.
Allegiance and
It's all right,
a chance to win tickets to see the film.
bastard.
Dude, Jabba Fett would take you down, Jeff. He would totally take you down. He would send you in the pit with a golden bikini.
What's JoJo Starbucks? What was the other one called?
Shut up, Jeffrey.
It's your home. This is the home teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Country Fried Friday here on Dunc and Holder. And Jeff put Dave to work this morning, like really hard work. So much so that I feel like maybe Jar Jar Solo would come after you and he would take you down, Jeff.
Just putting Dave to work. I mean, he's had an easy week. I mean, he's had very little audio to cut up, so we had to give him.
Well, it's a bye week, so I was supposed to have a short week.
That was last week, dude.
Well, technically, you know what I mean.
Let's hear from Drew Brees. I promise everything that Dave cut up with sound, we're going to play all of it. I promise you. Because, look, Drew Brees, Teron Armstead, they're kind of important to the Saints, so we'll hear what they have to say. But, yeah, let's hear from Drew Brees, and we'll just kind of run through some of these because in about 10 minutes we'll have Jim Derry on, so we'll just kind of get through what Drew Brees had to say. Let's hear what he had to say. Look, big storyline that's now fizzled out, which you knew it would. The Adrian Peterson trade, of course, dealt him to the Arizona Cardinals, and he is no longer with the Saints. So let's hear what Drew Brees had to say about Adrian Peterson.
Listen, I think it's all for the best. You know, certainly for him, I think it appears that he's going to get a great opportunity there. You know, we basically had two feature backs, you know, with Mark and with Adrian, and then obviously that was before drafting Kamara and obviously seeing the contributions that he's been able to have and you know, the expanded role. So there's only so many balls to go around, and obviously I think there was just an odd man out, and it seemed to be, you know, Adrian, which, listen, I really appreciated the time with him, you know. I felt like he was a great teammate, really loved his work ethic, and, you know, the time we were able to spend throughout the offseason and through training camp and even into the first few weeks. I know, obviously, it was frustrating for him not to be able to get the reps that I think he was accustomed to getting, and I think what he had hoped for and planned for, but again, I think this is all for the better. You know, allows us to move forward, allows him to move forward with another opportunity where it looks like he's going to get probably a significant amount of time.
I don't want to say that, look, Drew Brees is being just diplomatic, but I do think that, look, what he's saying is accurate. If Mark Ingram wasn't there, Adrian Peterson would be the guy with Alvin Kamara. But Mark Ingram's a better option, and the Saints did exactly what they needed to do. Even if they didn't trade him, they needed to scale back on Adrian Peterson.
But it goes back to why did they bring him in the first place?
Right.
Drew Brees says we basically had two feature backs, Mark and Adrian. So why did you bring in Adrian Peterson? You already had Mark Ingram. We've been over this over and over.
We've been over this.
But,
you and me have been over this
why
over and
did they
over.
bring him in? They didn't need him, and then they had to eat $2.8 million. Now they got a 6th-round draft pick for it.
But that's eating $2.8 million, Jeff. That's like a Tuesday. No big deal. It's not eating like 30 or for like Junior Gillette and Jimmy Graham all at once. So that's nothing.
Yeah, it's
no big deal. Monopoly money, apparently. But let's hear what Drew Brees had to say on if the trade clarifies the running back rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it does. You know, when you think about the rhythm of a game and the amount of plays that you're trying to run and your balance between run and pass, and even in our passing game, you know, we look at that as an extension of the run game at times. You know, there's the backs play a big role in that. I'd say that obviously those guys have shown what they can do, you know, in all situations. You know, I think that they're two very complete backs, you know, that can be in any given situation, whether that's running between the tackles or outside the tackles, or you know, catching balls out of the backfield, splitting them out, picking up protection. You know, those guys can do it all.
Jeff, he's exactly right, and which I think you take the handcuffs off of Sean Payton, and it makes the offense more diverse, because Ingram is certainly capable of running the football. So is Kamara. They're both capable of catching the football out of the backfield. You could put them on the field together, and you don't know what's coming. I think it's something that the Saints needed to do. They know they needed to do it, whether he was traded or not. But I think they've got one of the better running back setups now, honestly, in the NFL right at this point. If you're talking a two-back system, I think they've got a great complementary option with these two guys.
Yeah, both of them are versatile, like you said, can come out of the backfield, catch the ball. It's going to put defenses in a little bit of a bind if they play both of them together, which I would like to see. Didn't they call that the pony package or something when they had Sproles and Pierre Thomas together? They would use them both. You could see that happening easily with Ingram and Kamara. And Kamara, I think, is only going to continue to get better, and he's going to get more touches now. Those touches that Adrian Peterson got, the 5 to 7 he would get a game, I think are going to Kamara.
Yeah, I agree. And even though I do still think that Mark Ingram will be the majority guy in the backfield as far as getting running back carries.
Yes.
But still, he's not going to get 30 carries. Like, you can see Mark Ingram get 16, and Kamara might get 8, but you can use Kamara and all different things. And look, you look at what the Lions have done, and they're trying to come in here and get the win, but they've had the Saints' number. Like, they have beaten the Saints the past 3 years. Some of the games, I think the one in Detroit, remember a couple of years ago, where it was basically a bogus pass interference call, and it extended the drive, and they won. And the Saints were on the verge of kind of getting this thing going. But it's like the Lions are in their way again to kind of get this thing going. And Drew Brees understands, look, the Lions are a good team. So let's hear what Drew Brees had to say about the Lions giving the Saints so much trouble the past few years.
I can remember each one of them too. You know, I think last year was probably one of our more poor performances that we've ever had. Certainly that I can remember. That's not the type of team we are, and certainly that's not, you know, that's a bad taste in our mouth right now. So we always have a lot to prove. We certainly have a lot to prove right now, being that I think that we've turned the corner, you know, this year. Kind of done with the first quarter of our season, you know, 2-2, but we've won the last 2. I feel like we're an ascending team who's continuing to play better. But this will be a great test for us, because I think that the Lions are a very good football team, and certainly I'd say they probably have some confidence, you know, coming in, knowing that they beat us the last 3 times. But just we got to put together our best plan in order to beat them.
All right, Jeff. I've heard Drew Brees call the Saints an ascending team. I don't know how many times the past 4 years.
It's one of his phrases.
Is it time for me to believe that they're an ascending team? Is it time?
Yeah, I think so, because you've got so many young players. You know, we mentioned it yesterday. The Saints, until Anzalone went down, were starting 4 rookies, more than any team in the league, and they have a lot of second-year guys also playing key roles. So this is a young team that should only continue to get better. The fact that they're 2-2, with all the injuries, the key positions that they've had guys out, and playing all these rookies, to me bodes well for the future. Has to.
I'm going to give away part of my weekend column.
Don't do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm not going to do it. You're right. I'm not going to do it. It's going to be awesome.
We're teasing everybody. Give a little bit of a tease. What?
The Saints have been on the verge of breaking over 500 the past 4 years and have not done it.
How many times have they had a chance?
Every season they've finished 7-9. Every one of them. 12, 14, 15, 16. They've gotten to 500 and never gotten over that. I haven't done it yet. And let's take a quick break right here, because we'll have Jim Derry on coming up next, talk about prep football. I'm curious to see the columns I wrote leading up to those games, and you feel like, oh, you believe they're going to get over the hump? This is the time they're going to get over the hump. I want to see how many different ways I've actually described them. I feel like they're going to do it because I feel like they're going to do it this time too, and it's the banana in the tailpipe. You don't fall for that trick. I don't know, but I don't think this time it's going to be a trick.
It's on a tee for them.
They're
at home. They're coming off a bye week. They're getting a banged-up Detroit team. It's the perfect opportunity.
It is on a tee. You're right. But let's take a break right here. Country Fried Friday. Jim Derry. He's going to love it. I know it. Coming up next, talking prep football. Big games this weekend. So we'll talk with Jim Derry next here. Sports 1280. NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder. When I was doing the last soundbite, I had no idea where I was going with the conversation. I was like talking myself in a circle. I'm like, I gotta get somehow.
I saw you.
I was just like,
back to
I was like gearing in my head. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm segueing.
You did.
I'm just like
miraculously. Yeah, back on subject.
Recent extreme weather events have
I
created.
was like,
I could see the relief on your face as I did it.
Trade-in truck, car, or SUV.
That's hilarious.
So Legacy will pay you top dollar to get it. You'll get more for your trade and huge discounts, like $12,000 off Sierra Denali Crew Cab.
I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna segue to this.
One of those days, man.
Take your pick.
I'm telling you, that
Terrain or
game
Buick Encore, just
physically
$18,998.
exhausting.
Really?
Like
I didn't know you were that into the Cubs.
I was yeah. See, it's like the only thing I'm like.
Yeah, you have to have something, right?
The only thing.
iHeartRadio. All your
That's me,
favorite
Louisville
music,
basketball.
all your favorite stations.
Yeah, like I can't watch Louisville play
And
Kentucky. I
now
can't even
with
watch the
football
game.
season in full swing,
I like
let's
tape
be
it.
honest,
When we get
most of
beat,
your
I don't
week
watch
is
it.
focused on your fantasy team or teams.
No, I've got like an
Reason to
emotional
leave the
connection
iHeartRadio
because
app,
like.
because now we have the Fantasy Sports Radio Network.
We got JD.
Cool.
Talk
No, it's how I got into
so you
sports.
can
Like
dominate
when
your
I
league.
would get
Your
picked up from
fantasy football
preschool at
fix
St.
right
Rita
on
at
the
Harrington.
Fantasy Sports
My
Radio Network.
great grandma would pick me up, and I would go watch Cub games with my great grandpa outside.
That's cool.
When I was 4.
He was a Cubs fan? Or just a sports fan?
Beat the Nationals last night.
I guess I was a
9-8
Cubs
in
fan
DC.
just because
The
he would
Magic
watch it.
advancing to the
He didn't have like Cubs
straight
gear or
National
anything,
League
but I would watch it, and then we
That's
would
one of
like
the
go
most
in the
incredible
yard
victories
afterwards
I've
and
ever
play.
been. I know you.
So there's
a lot
like
of people are probably
Right,
saying
goes
the
back
same
deep.
thing, but
Yeah.
under the circumstances,
That's basically the same way I got into it. Me and my granny would watch it for Harry
Yeah.
Carey in the
Yeah.
7th inning stretch because I mean WGN was like always on. You know.
Well,
So
you
I'm
either
like,
had it was either WGN or
Braves.
TBS. You were either Cubs
yeah,
or Braves.
F the Braves.
Game one for the
Bob
F
Horner
Atlanta in
and
general.
Dale Murphy.
Yeah, my grandfather used to listen to Reds games on the radio. We'd sit on his porch, and he would keep score. Like he'd have
Oh, really? A
scorebook.
scorebook?
Yeah,
Scorebook?
score of the Reds games. We'd sit out there, and like at night, the crickets are going.
Yeah.
Listen to a Reds game, but I never really became a Reds fan. But he was.
But my dad is a huge Yankees fan, like huge. No, like my dad would take me to like baseball card shows and like Mickey Mantle signing autographs. I'm like, I don't care. Like, where's Ryan Sandberg?
I'm Tony.
Right.
20 years ago, when my mom had.
Yeah, he was all fired up.
Jody Davis.
I was like, Ernie Banks is here?
Yes. If you've been diagnosed
Pretty awesome.
with
Yeah,
lung
that's
cancer,
cool.
All right, coming back.
Yep.
standuptocancer.org/lung
Oh, we got
cancer
JD on?
to learn
Yeah,
more.
he's in. Yeah, we got him.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Country Fried Friday, the creator, I guess. Should I give him that much credit? The creator of Country Fried Friday?
No.
Dave. Oh, gee.
No, it's Dave's creation.
Sorry, Jim Derry. I'm not giving you any credit for anything, but that's par for the course when you come on this show. Jim Derry, our preps guru here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. I'm sorry, JD. I tried, but you know.
You're trying to swallow my head?
I was trying to. Well, look, I was telling Jeff before we came on the air, I was literally texting you and Mike Triplett, a former colleague from ESPN. That Cubs game last night, outside of Game 7, was probably the most physically exhausting game I've ever watched in my life.
It's a good thing I wasn't in D.C. last night, or I would not be doing a game tonight since I'd have no voice left. It was the most craziest, zaniest, even if I wasn't a Cubs fan, craziest, zaniest baseball game I've ever watched. Certainly not craziest 9-inning game I've ever watched.
No doubt. Probably the longest nine-inning game. Almost 5 hours. Yeah, I even told you. I said, Jim, this is going to be 5 hours. It's unbelievable.
I got nothing left.
Well, you better get something left because, look, you got a big game tonight. Riverside Newman. Why don't you break it down and just let everybody know how you can catch you on the airwaves?
The Regis Radiator, NOLA.com prep game of the week. I can't believe it's week 7 already. We're got just 4 weeks left of the regular season, and tonight, Riverside and Newman. It'll be my old partner coming back with me tonight. Jim Rapier is back on the air with me tonight.
That's awesome.
Mike Labradette has got a week off. He's got to do some things with his daughter, and we're excited about it. Newman and Riverside, the number 2 and number 3 teams in our small schools poll, playing a big district matchup tonight at Lupin Field, and it's going to be an exciting game. I tell you, Newman has been a huge surprise at 6-0, and Riverside, everything that could go wrong for them so far this year that possibly could have gone wrong has gone wrong. They are 1-3, and just kind of typical of their season so far. Last week, it looks like they've got through the brutal part of their schedule, and they're going to go and go get a win to open district play last week at South Plaquemines, and they get hurricaned out. So they have only played 4 games so far this season, the poor Rebels, and it'll be interesting to see how they come out tonight after 2 weeks, after a week off last week, and Jordan Loving and Jeremy Gibson and the rest of the crew over there at Riverside. I think it's going to be a very interesting game between the 2 very evenly matched teams.
Yeah, JD, I saw you have the pick of Riverside, so even though their record isn't nearly as impressive as Newman, that rough schedule that they had to play up so many games clearly is taking its toll, at least on their 1-loss record.
It really has, and I'm a little surprised, to be honest. I mean, I thought they would have a tough time going through that stretch, but I didn't think they'd come out 1-3. But to show you what sports writers think, I don't know that I've ever seen a 1-3 team with 4 weeks left in the season still be ranked 7th in the state. So it goes to show what sports writers think, that they still think that they have a good chance to go to the Dome. And we're going to learn a lot about Riverside. You don't usually learn a lot just late in the season, but I think with this game and with the way that it goes, that we are going to learn a lot about Riverside tonight, and them going to Lupin Field, which is a tough place to play in the annals of prep sports. There's been a few players that play on Sunday that played there at Newman, and it's going to be an interesting game. It's really 2 great offenses going up against each other, and for Newman, they got a junior quarterback in Martin Butcher who's been fantastic, and I don't know who saw this coming. They got a great running back in James Poche, who's in the top, I believe, in the top 5 in the metro area in rushing, and they pretty much got everything. They got a good offensive line, but will their defense be able to stop Jordan Loving, who I consider to be the best just pure quarterback in the metro area? That's going to be tough. We'll find out soon enough.
Jim Derry, our preps guru from NOLA.com and Times-Picayune, join us right here on Dunc and Holder. Jim, you look at the Catholic League matchups, and all 3 of them are intriguing for one reason or another. You got St. Aug taking on John Curtis. You got Rummel taking on Jesuit at Ullman Stadium, and then you've got Holy Cross, who has been to the highs and lows over this past week. They're taking on Brother Martin. Just kind of break down those 3 matchups.
Well, real quick, the best one of the bunch is certainly St. Aug against Curtis. They have played 4 times the past 4 years, and they are 2-2, and all games have been within 7 points. So, in fact, if you go over 4 games, they've been combined within 12 points. So some people might be expecting a blowout tonight, and I definitely don't think that's the case. St. Aug's defense has been fantastic. I expect a low-scoring game there, and it would not shock me if the Knights found a way to win that game. The only question is their quarterback play, if they're going to be able to score enough against John Curtis. So I'm really looking forward to that one. We have Amos Morale there, and he was at the Holy Cross game last week, and that's the shocker of the season so far. Holy Cross beating Rummel.
Really? Could we talk a little more about that, JD?
No, we can't. Time's up. It's all right.
The revenge factor there obviously was a big deal. Jaden Moran has really played, I hate to say it this way for a high school kid, but he's played awful the first half of the season, and then comes out last week and does what he has to do, and he finds his great receiver, Kim Wimberly, all night long, and then Wimberly throws the 2-point conversion pass. But, like you said, Larry, with all the thing that's going on in Holy Cross, and they've got 2 kids on the team now that are in legal trouble, and after why were they out at 4:30 in the morning on Bourbon Street? We don't need to go there right now, but I think Brother Martin's playing really well. That's going to be a tough matchup for Holy Cross to follow up with after the Rummel game. And then you talk about Rummel. How are they going to react after last week? They were pretty ticked off. There were a lot of just horrible calls in that game. But Rummel shouldn't have been that close to Holy Cross. They have there's no way that it should have been that close. And Jesuit's has taken its lumps so far. So we'll see if Rummel takes it out on the Blue Jays tonight, or if they have a hangover and Jesuit, which does have a decent offense, if they're able to put up. Yeah, I think. In fact, we originally had that game as our radio game and made a last-minute switch. We haven't done enough small schools, and turned out to, I'm happy that we're going to Lupin. But Everett and Landry Walker, both of these teams are going to be a factor in the playoffs. There's no question about it. Everett is, I think, finally starting to make their way to where they thought they would be. It's taken them a little while at 4-2. And Landry Walker, they've had all kinds of change at quarterback, trying to find out who their quarterback is. And they finally took their great defensive back, Corian Harris, and put him back there, and he's done a really good job. So they seem to be on the right track now, winning 3 games in a row. So, yeah, the District 8 5A championship, I just don't see, unless Chalmette can find a way to creep their way back in it and beat Landry Walker later in the season. I really think that this is, all intents and purposes, this is for the district championship, and it's going to be a tight, close, tough, physical game.
Got about 2 minutes.
All right, Jim, one more time, let everyone know game of the week, where you're going to be, and how to listen.
NOLA.com, Regis Radiator Prep Game of the Week. I'll be with Jim Raper tonight at Lupin Field. You can listen to it on NOLA.com, and also Clyde Verdun will be with us, and we're going to try to stream it on Facebook Live to go along with it. We're working around playing with that, trying to figure out how to make it work, and I know Clyde can do it. Got all the confidence in the world in him. My thumbs up, you can't see it, but tonight, NOLA.com, Facebook Live, will be on the air beginning at 6:45 with the Mandeville Seafood pregame show.
All right, Jim Derry, catch all, and of course, look, you don't just do the game, you break down all the other prep action as well. So yeah, absolutely check it out. So hey, Jim, appreciate the time as always, buddy. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, gentlemen.
You got it, Jim Derry. Big games this week.
Huge schedule of games.
Absolutely,
some really intriguing games across the metro area.
Absolutely. And what's the dig? I don't need a dig.
I had to get that in.
Always, huh?
I had to get that in. I will say this: you gave Holy Cross full credit for that win. I was impressed. You didn't pull like the officiating card.
That game should not have gone to overtime because Holy Cross should have won it in regulation. You talk about bad calls. The field goal should have been ending the game in regulation. It was amazing. So
I'll be interested to see how many people are out at Ullman tonight. Perfect weather. Big game uptown. That's going to be fun.
Well, Rummel-Jesuit's a huge rivalry.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big crowd.
Absolutely. So hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. We'll continue Saints Lions talk. We'll also talk LSU Auburn with Ron Higgins, our LSU SEC columnist.
We hope.
Jeff, we hope. And look, we will fun time. If you got a call in 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. He's Jeff Dunc, and I'm Larry Holder. Makes us Duncan Holder.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
There's a season for everything, and right now, it's save up to 30% on appliances season at the Home Depot, with special buys on innovative appliances that do more, like a Maytag top freezer refrigerator with extra deep door bins to free up shelf space. it's just $498. You save $150. Savings are in season with up to 30% off appliances at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. While supplies last, U.S. only. See store for details.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports trending now.
No major sanctions for the University of North Carolina. The NCAA was unable to conclude the independent study-style courses offered by their Department of African and Afro-American Studies specifically benefited student-athletes, since the classes were also offered to the entire general student body. Also, some breaking soccer news. Bruce Arena has resigned as head coach of the U.S. men's national team, which failed to qualify for the upcoming World Cup. U.S. men hadn't missed a qualifying for a World Cup since 1986. So tonight, it's Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Yankees visit the Astros. Dallas Keuchel starting for Houston. Masahiro Tanaka for New York. And we now know the fourth team in the Championship Series combo. Cubs rallied to beat the Nationals 9-8 in Game 5 of the NLDS last night. Cubs traveled to L.A. to take on the Dodgers in the National League Championship Series. I'm Deb Carson.
Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. In February 2016, Johnson & Johnson baby powder was ordered to pay $72 million by a jury to women who died of ovarian cancer after 35 years of using the talcum baby powder product. Multiple studies show women who have long-term use of baby powder products with talcum for feminine hygiene can increase the risk of contracting ovarian cancer. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used Johnson & Johnson or Shower to Shower baby powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Baby Powder Helpline today. 800-457-3280. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free, and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor.
All right, 4 minutes.
Or loved one used talcum baby powder-based products before being diagnosed with or died from ovarian cancer. Call Talcum Baby Powder Helpline today. 800-457-3280. 800-457-3280. 800-457-3280.
Allison is perfect.
We gotta look and
she'd
see
never
which-
tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Non-attorney paid spokesman. Paid for by Fennell Law Group.
Attention, women who have had breast cancer surgery. Have you or a loved one experienced hair loss or baldness that lasted 6 months or more after using the chemotherapy drug Taxotere? If so, you may be entitled to compensation.
Jeez, that is.
Call the Taxotere Legal Help
I've
Desk
never
now.
seen that one.
800-800-7134.
my.
Many women weren't warned of the side effects
crushed.
and
That's
deprived the option to choose other chemotherapy medications that are just as effective without the risk of baldness. Our experienced attorneys will fight for you and get you the compensation you deserve. Permanent baldness can be devastating to a woman. If you or a loved one experienced hair loss that lasted longer than 6 months after breast cancer surgery, call the Taxotere Legal Help Desk now. 800-800-7134. You may be entitled to compensation and you won't pay a thing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call now. 800-800-7134. 800-800-7134. 800-800-7134.
Consult your doctor before discontinuing any medication.
If you or a loved one suffer from depression, this message is for you. Over 16 million Americans battle depression, yet fewer than half respond to their first prescription, leading to a frustrating cycle of trial and error. There's a better way. Genetic tests can help predict which treatments will be most effective. Studies show that when providers use genetic testing to guide treatment, patients are twice as likely to respond to their medication. For more information, talk with your doctor and ask for a test. This public service announcement has been brought to you by GeneSight and this station.
Hi, I want to talk to you about IRS tax debt. If you owe money to the IRS, you're not alone.
Millions of Americans owe money to the IRS. When the IRS comes to collect, they often add penalties. And
All right, 1 minute.
they also have the authority to garnish your wages and or levy your bank accounts. It's best to have someone on your side to help battle the IRS. For years, Oxford Tax Partners has helped people just like you. If you owe more than $5,000 to the IRS or have multiple years of unfiled tax returns, call Oxford Tax Partners today at 1-866-700-1818 for a free and confidential consultation. That's 1-866-700-1818. Oxford Tax's fees are reasonable, and they will only bring you on if they are able to achieve real savings on your IRS tax debts. So, what do you have to lose? Call Oxford Tax Partners today at 1-866
10 seconds.
for your free and confidential consultation. Learn how Oxford Tax can help you put your IRS tax debt behind you once and for all. That's 1-866-700-1818. 1-866-700-1818.
Duncan Holder, hour number 2. If you missed any of hour number 1, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. You can go check it all out. And look, we're going to be talking plenty of Saints Lions. We'll talk LSU and Auburn. And Jeff, I don't know what I wonder what's going on outside of these walls, because I think our ad staff is cheering for us, or maybe I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
It's
like
chaos.
Sounds like a party.
Exactly.
On the 31st floor.
We're not invited.
No, not at all.
No.
Hey, Bruce Arena stepped down. We talk about that. U.S. Soccer. Is that?
We don't need to talk about soccer for another 8 years.
Clyde's not with us.
No, we don't need to talk anymore.
Was that even news? Everybody knew he was going to step down, right? He had to.
You'd sure hope so. After that performance and disaster.
That's a big hire, whoever they hire to replace him. It's going to be a lot of pressure to get U.S. Soccer back in the right direction.
I'd love to be able to give you a candidate, but I have zero. I don't know any.
You and I know nobody.
Exactly.
Who would we pick?
Pele. Pick him. That's all I got. I don't know. Or David Beckham. Victoria Beckham. One of the Spice Girls. Who knows? It's got to be better than what they had.
You know the U.S. women's national team is coming here, playing in the Dome in a few weeks, I think. That's all I know. I just know that they're coming here playing.
That's all I know.
I'm interested to see that. I really am. See what kind of crowd.
This isn't the first time they'd be coming, too. They've played here before.
Right. Even though we got eliminated in the early rounds of that World Cup kind of bid. We didn't even make it to the cut of like 32. We being the city of New Orleans.
I assume that New Orleans would probably not get that bid, and I feel like I don't know if I said it on there or off air with you. If anyone around here would get it, it would be Houston, because they have a huge soccer base in Houston. New Orleans, no. Sorry. Wasn't going to cut it for me.
I'll tell you one other news item that's happened while we've been on the air. The NCAA announced that there will be no sanctions at the University of North Carolina for that kind of academic sham that they had going on. I don't know how. I think they said it was not restricted to strictly athletes, and so they couldn't enforce it as an NCAA violation.
How long has that been drifting around in the news? I feel like years.
Oh, yeah. It's been going on forever.
And so there's nothing.
And nothing's going to come of it at all, even though these athletes were going to these sham classes and not even have. I mean, to me, that strikes at the integrity and the heart of the education system. It should be the actual thing that they hammer the most at the NCAA level is education. And you're taking sham classes, and yet they get off scot-free, and other schools are getting hammered for other stuff.
Maybe the NCAA just said, oh, well, we've got worse problems to deal with now, so who cares about classes? They're worried about fraud and jail time for coaches, so I think maybe they just said, whatever. But no, that's amazing. You go through all that, and nothing comes down.
Right, it's like 3 years, I think it was the investigation.
Exactly. So, but let's switch gears here. Saints, Lions, of course, noon kickoff in the Superdome on Sunday. And Jeff, First time since 2013 the Saints could be above 500 if they pick up this win. That's insane. The Saints haven't been 1-0 or 4-3 or 2-1. They have not been 500. Above 500.
Above 500.
They have not been above. They've been 500 at plenty of times and tanked, but they have not been above 500 since 2013. And Drew Brees was asked about that in his Wednesday press meeting. Let's hear what he had to say about it.
Wait, say it again.
Let's hear what Drew Brees had to say. Yeah, Dave, on getting over 500 for the first time since 2013, potentially.
I'm not thinking about over 5.
Sorry.
Something like that. You know, it's the next game, but it's a very important game. It would be a very important win, I think, just in our maturation process and for our season.
Drew Brees isn't thinking about it, which means he's thinking about it. There's no question he's thinking about it.
Yeah, he never bites on those kind of questions. Very rarely. He always pulls the focused on this game and not worried about the outside noise. It's kind of classic Breeze.
If you focus on this game and you win, you're above 500. So focus on it. Come on. But no,
I'll tell you what, they better win this one, Larry, because going up to Lambeau and their history of losing, if they lose this one, they're staring at maybe being 2-4. They might not ever get back over 500 this year.
But we've seen that for the past 3 or 4 years. It's the same story. So that's why it's going to be a storyline. And Jeff, the Saints are 2-2. And they have only played one home game, and they haven't won it. They lost to New England. Look, they got 7 more coming, but you've seen it. The dome field advantage, that doesn't exist anymore with this team.
Well, when you get down 20-3, right off the bat in the first quarter against the Patriots, I mean, it's hard for the crowd to get into it. I think they're going to be really into this game on Sunday. I think everybody's encouraged and enthused. The team has played, like you said, they played one home game all year. I think people are going to be packing the dome, and I think it's going to be a big home field advantage. They need it. They need to get off to a good start. Maybe do the Superdome special early or some crazy razzle-dazzle.
They're going to bring Devery Henderson back?
Peyton hasn't done a lot of that. They did one last year against the Rams, right? Willie Snead threw a pass, but they haven't done a lot of trickery the last few years. Remember,
maybe a flea flicker or two.
Yeah, they're good for one of those with Ingram throwing it back, but we haven't seen much of that out of Sean Payton. It seemed like he did more of that early in his career than he's done the last half of his career. Maybe I'm perception's off.
You never know. Maybe Teron Armstead throws a pass. Who knows?
Yeah, or maybe a little fake punt or fake field goal or something.
You need some razzle dazzle. You're
bored. Is Chase Daniel holding now, or is it Morstead? It's Morstead, right?
Yes, it's Morstead.
Because you can't really get much of a fake out of Tom Morstead, I don't think.
Well, he could throw it.
He could, yes. I don't know. He could probably throw it better than Cam Newton threw it last night.
Man, he was throwing the daggers at Cam Newton.
He was bad.
But look, the Saints, though, it's apparent they have not won consistently at home, and it's been their detriment. So here's Drew Brees on trying to get the home field advantage back in the Superdome.
Well, you say home field advantage. Well, I mean, it's listen. We need to play better. We need to play better at home. We haven't. I don't know what the exact record is over the last 2.5 years, but I know that there was a time when I think teams dreaded coming and playing in the dome, and there's no reason why it can't be like that again.
There's no reason why it can't be, but Drew Brees is right. They just got to play better, and they haven't been a very good football team the past few years, and people aren't intimidated by the dome anymore. And when they were great, the dome was was the ultimate. I wouldn't say equalizer, obviously, because they're not equal, but it was the ultimate X factor that was always in the Saints' favor, and it just hasn't been that way anymore.
No, I mean, it used to be an intimidating, hostile place, and for whatever reason, I remember even the Patriots game at one point, I think I turned to you and said, man, listen how quiet it is in here. You could hear the play calls from the press box as Tom Brady was calling out the snap count. You just don't hear that very often. It used to be just a rocking environment. Thankfully, they've gotten rid of that stupid siren thing.
Oh,
remember that? Trying to encourage
that was like
people.
The pits of hell.
And it seems like they've gone away from the stand up and get crunk a little bit, haven't they?
Well, we haven't heard them score a lot of touchdowns in the Dome, so I don't know. Maybe they go back to it. I don't know, because they didn't.
Mercifully, they've gone away from that.
Now you said that, and they're going to bring this thing back.
I don't know. I'm over that. I'm over the stand-up gig crunk. I think most people are.
I've had this discussion with Fred McAfee about I'm over stand-up and gig crunk. Get this out of here.
Let's get a new era going.
But
here.
Fred was saying, it's not for you, Larry. It's for the fans. It's for the team. Well, it's old.
I think fans feel the same way, most of them.
Well, there's no point to stand up and get crunk because they haven't scored too many touchdowns in the Dome. But look, you talk about the Saints are primed to get in this position to get over 500, and you look at the offensive line. We're going to hear from Teron Armstead later on in the show. He was sort of coy and say he didn't want to say and basically get scolded for saying that he's going to play, but he's talking, and he's in a great mood, and he's smiling, and he's saying he's completely healthy. So to me, it sounds like he's going to be playing. But that's good. But you add him, and you also got to take into account Larry Warford, former Detroit Lion. He knows what they're going to be going up against. So let's hear what Drew Brees had to say on Larry Warford and the offensive line.
Larry's having a great year. He fits in great here. He's been a great addition. And that's such a stout group up front, and a great group of leaders too, and just the way that they work and the way they are in the locker room, and just I think they set the tone, for our offense, both run game, pass game. So I think I'm sure there's added motivation. I know how it was to play the Chargers for the first time, So for everybody, I'm sure there's that added motivation, especially for him.
Should we just cut that soundbite up and pretend it's about me?
What?
Larry's a great addition.
Oh, God.
We should do that, right? I think we should.
To quote Fred McAfee, it's not about you, Larry.
It's not. My name's on the show marquee. It is about me.
Larry.
Even though my name's second, whatever. But look, hey, let's hear from Drew Brees, and we'll take a break right here on the show. I asked about having to deal with the scrambling offensive line, and it's, to me, pretty amazing how the Saints have managed that. Not just from game to game, but it could be from snap to snap. But here's Drew Brees on the offensive line scramble.
What's been the challenges of so many pieces moving around that offensive line, and you're going to have some more jumbling this
week? Here's the thing, there's challenges, but man, credit to those guys, what they've been able to do. I mean, it's really impressive, to have offensive linemen that have that type of versatility, that can, and not just from game to game, but like from snap to snap, right? Where all of a sudden you got to go from left guard to left tackle, you got to go from left tackle to right tackle, or whatever it might be. That's not an easy thing to do, and credit to those guys for embracing that. That's something that you work on in the off season as a just in case, scenario, or this might not ever happen, but let's just kind of see what it looks like. And all of a sudden you're thrust in that position. It gives you confidence to know that, hey, we can do this.
And I think they're going to be better because I'm anticipating Teron Armstead to play. Ryan Ramczyk has looked solid. So even though Armstead was limited in practice these past couple of days, and Andres Pete popped up on the injury report, limited with a hip injury. I'm not sure what that was because he was not on the injury report on Wednesday, so I'm curious to see what that is. But I assume, even though Zach Streep is out, you're still going to have a solid group up there, and I anticipate Teron Armstead's going to be back this week.
Well, where was Max Unger drafted? Do you remember when he was drafted out of Oregon for Seattle? I'm trying to remember.
I do not know.
I mean, you're going to have 2 first-rounders in Pete and Ramczyk starting, a highly prized free agent in Max Unger, another highly prized free agent in Larry Warford.
Armstead was a third-round pick.
And then Armstead was a third-rounder who had great upside.
Right.
We're talking about a huge investment the Saints have made in the offensive line. 2 high-priced free agents. Well, one was a free agent, one was a trade. They traded Jimmy Graham to get him, and then 2 first-round draft picks. So the Saints have dedicated a lot of resources to having one of the best lines in the league, and we're finally going to see it all come to fruition this weekend.
Well, when they were great, their offensive line was great. So you gotta make it happen up front. So let's take a quick break right here on the show. Ron Higgins will effort his
Let's see if we can find Ron.
Let's see if we can find him.
Where's Waldo?
Exactly. Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, could come up next. If not, we'll roll on. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. With Dunc and Holder. Maybe. Boy, limping into the finish line this week.
Enjoy wines from around the world, great food, and the music of Tanya.
So what, he's not answering or something?
Well, no, Jeff was reached out, and then he said, yeah, he'd come on, but then when Jeff's like, oh, here's what time he's coming on, he never responded. So we'll just call him and see what happens.
And NOLA 38.
Wine on the River, presented by Southern Glazers, WGNO TV ABC, and NOLA 38, the CW. Saturday, November 11th at Audubon Aquarium Plaza from 3 to 6. Limited VIP and general admission on sale now at wineontherivernola.com. Proceeds benefit the Louisiana Hospitality Foundation.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The Final Four now all set in Major League Baseball. The Cubs beat the Nationals last night 9-8 in D.C. Joe Madden's guys advancing to their third straight National League Championship Series.
That's one of the most incredible victories I've ever been part of. I know a lot of people are probably saying the same thing, but under the circumstances, in the other team's ballpark after a tough loss at home, to come back and do that, give our guys all the credit in the world.
2 hits and forearm suspension begins immediately. Elliott, though, still has some legal options. On the field, 3 TD passes for Carson Wentz. The Eagles beat the Panthers 28-23. Philly now 5-1. The Panthers are 4-2. That's sports. Frank Garrity, NBC News Radio.
Kentucky fans are going crazy because they hate North Carolina.
Habitat for Humanity builds houses and so much more.
What was going on?
Habitat build site is where hanging a door opens a world of opportunity.
Okay.
Where turning a screw turns.
Hey, good luck at the game tonight.
And where a simple
you got a shout out.
You got a shout out.
Unlock a brighter future.
All right, second try, I got him.
All right. Apologize that we didn't set a time.
Visit Habitat.
Oh, you got him?
Yeah, you got him.
In the face of tragedy, the world comes together. Hi, I'm Enrique Santos, and tomorrow night, iHeartRadio presents One Voice, Somos Live, a live televised concert to raise money for the families impacted by the recent natural disasters in Puerto Rico, Mexico, and the Caribbean. With Bruno Mars, Jennifer Lopez, Chris Martin from Coldplay, DJ Khaled, Demi Lovato, Maroon 5, The Chainsmokers, Jamie Foxx, and many more.
Open your free iHeartRadio app and search Somos at 8 p.m. Eastern to listen live. Donate whatever you...
All right, coming back.
SomosUnivos.com.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
How come all the pretty girls like you are taking?
That's good stuff.
Who is this? I ask this every week. I don't know who these people are.
Zach Brown Band.
Oh, I've heard of that guy.
Mike Triplett's favorite.
Is it?
It's his favorite band, yes. I think
That's his favorite band?
Mike Triplett went to Jazz Fest a few years ago to see Zach Brown. For the first time, he'd lived in New Orleans for like 15 years and had never been to Jazz Fest, and it took Zach Brown to get him out there.
Wow.
Says a lot about the Tripster.
Boy, just taking him down. Well, thankfully, we're not limping as badly to the finish line on a Friday show here on Dunc and Holder because I'm gonna call out Jeff. Jeff did not properly procure a time for Ron Higgins, so we just basically cold called him, and he has answered the call. So Ron Higgins is joining us, LSU SEC columnist here for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Look, Ron, you know, we're all disheveled for some reason or other, and thankfully you have saved the day. Thank you, buddy.
Bail us out.
Well, I'm here to help. You know, that's my lot in life. I'm just here to help the next person get to the next hour. That's it.
Exactly, the next 2 minutes.
We need all the help we can get, Ron.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but look, LSU Auburn would have been a big game regardless of what had happened with Ed Ogeron and the LSU Tigers the last couple of weeks. But, Ron, just your impressions of this game. LSU is probably the biggest home underdog they've been in years and years and years. Just your overall scope of this game coming up 2:30 kickoff at Tiger Stadium on Saturday.
Well, right now they're a 7-point underdog, and I don't think that's nearly enough. I mean, I was a betting man, I'm not because I'm too cheap. But I'd hop on that. I just don't see any way LSU keeps this game remotely close. I'm looking at what Auburn has, what LSU has, what Auburn's done this year, what LSU's done this year, the injuries LSU has, and the injuries Auburn doesn't have, and it could get pretty ugly. I don't know if LSU could effectively operate its offense with three true freshman linemen who may start, all of them. And what I saw last week, they just kind of, when all three were in there, they just kind of shut it down, and California kind of got back in the game because they really couldn't run what they really wanted to. And I don't know if this week it can be any better if they feel like with three freshman linemen they can do that, because this offense requires Etling to do a lot of ball faking and stuff before he gets rid of it, and it's very intricate and has to be very timed out. And if somebody screws up in the SEC, you've got basically about 2 seconds to get rid of the damn ball if you take it to the quarterback, because you're going to get hit soon. And with these freshmen, I don't know about that.
Yeah, Ron, and I tell you, you had a nice post this week asking 3 critical questions about this game, and I thought your third one was really compelling, talking about Danny Etling, and I agree with you 100%. I mean, can he win a big game? I think that's the question with Danny Etling. Yes, he can manage a game, and last week he managed, if you will, that lead once they got it, but can he make enough big plays in this game tomorrow against a top 10 team to win? We haven't seen him do that yet as a quarterback at LSU.
And honestly, I don't know if he can, because if you've noticed, LSU doesn't throw any intermediate routes, nothing. And it's because I think they believe that Etling can't throw that route. They worry about him throwing the ball over the middle. Can he have enough zip to get it there? You notice most of Danny's stuff is the sidelines and then lofting it deep. And I mean, last week, they scored in the first drive of the second half because DJ Chark comes down with the ball with the Auburn defender and basically gets his hands around the ball as they hit the ground, and then the Titan goes to the receiver, and they score a touchdown. Otherwise, it's an interception. So, from what I've seen, offensively, they can only do certain things with Etling throwing the ball, and they feel like he's their most experienced quarterback and knows the offense the best, so it's kind of, they're kind of backed in their corner, and they can play Miles Brennan, but they don't know what they're going to get as far as reading defense, even though he has a much better arm.
Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, join us right here on Dunc and Holder. Ron, I know they beat Florida, and they certainly needed that win. It was 17-16. LSU was probably feeling pretty fortunate to get out of there with that win. If LSU gets beaten by Auburn, whether it's 1 point, 10 points, 50 points, how much heat will be on Coach O even more if they lose this game?
Well, I mean, probably a lot, but people just got to get used to the fact this team just isn't very good. It's not his fault they're not very good. He can only work what he's got to work with, and it's not his fault they don't have enough linemen. I mean, the depth issue is not his fault. It's not his fault Darius Geis got hurt and basically is doing the same thing Fournette did last year. Never really gets well. Never really at full speed. It's not his fault Arden Key decided in late May to get a shoulder surgery. In late May. I mean, how does this guy not know, like in January, February, when he was, or spring practice when he was taken off, that it was hurt? And so Arden Key's been overweight the whole time. He hasn't made a play yet this year. He's back. He's trying hard. Getting down, he had about 20 pounds overweight, but still a step slow. So it's like people want Orgeron to just be magical and make things happen. Let me heal the sick. Sign free agent offensive linemen off of other college teams. Not going to happen. Defensive lineman also, and then his best defensive lineman also. I mean, has been hurt most of the year and is trying to play hurt. So. I mean, they can get on him all he wants, but I don't know if Les Miles would do any better with this team if he was here, and that's the truth.
Ron, we had Kevin Skarbinski on the show yesterday, I think it was, and he talked about this Auburn team coming in and how they've kind of got their act together offensively. Jarrett Stidham's playing a lot better. He's more comfortable in Gus Malzahn's offense, and he thinks that this Auburn team can challenge Alabama this year. They get them on the plains later this season. Do you see this being like a 3-team race in the SEC with Georgia, the way they're playing over in the East Division, or do you think anybody, Georgia or Auburn, can challenge Alabama?
I think in the end, kind of both of them probably can. I mean, I really do. I mean, Alabama's really, really good. But Georgia has been rock solid all season so far. And this week they play Missouri, and then they have an open date. Actually, it's like having 2 open dates playing Missouri. And then, I mean, Georgia's the toughest game left on their schedule is not Florida, but at Auburn, November 11th. In the same way for Auburn, they're the only one that looks right now that could be remotely challenging because they're playing a little bit better is Texas A&M, and Auburn plays at A&M on November 4th, and then Georgia at home. But yeah, either one of those two can challenge, and I think Auburn's the most improved team from the start of the year. I mean, Jared Stidham finally got in rhythm the first couple of games. He just didn't look like an SEC caliber quarterback, especially when they scored just 6 points against Clemson. But since then, he's been really been on fire. They got Kerryon Johnson back and healthy again, which y'all think is the greatest name for a running back in the history of mankind. Kerryon Johnson. I'm just trying to figure out how his mother named him. Was she a stewardess? Carry-on luggage? I don't know. Kerryon Johnson has scored 12 touchdowns this year, which is rushing, which is as many LSU has scored as a team. So, like I said, Auburn's loaded, and defensively they're loaded too. That's why this game, it could get really ugly. And the only way LSU wins this game is they keep a low-scoring game, and I don't know if they can.
Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist here for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Hey, Ron, appreciate it as always, buddy, and thanks for saving the show. Thank you. We needed all the help we could get.
I'm glad to be the fill-in guy. Just give me a call. Utility man.
There you go. Hey, Ron, appreciate it.
See you tomorrow,
Ron Higgins,
See ya.
LSU SEC columnist here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Why don't we take a break right here on the show? We will hear from Teron Armstead coming up in the next segment. And our
Make some picks.
And final segment, make some picks. I don't know. You're throwing curveballs at me. I don't know. When I walked away from the show last week, you changed it up. I don't know what's going to happen. You're going to just make up categories, and I just got to go with the flow.
Well, we don't want to bore our listeners any more than we already have today with 16 or whatever it is, 14 NFL picks. So we're trying to keep it lively. I'm taking tips from Dave. Dave's good at keeping the show moving.
Yeah, from Jar Jar Solo and Jabba Fett. Exactly. Take tips from Dave, Jeff. Good call here. Sports 1280. NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app.
Being mean today.
I know.
We're grumpy here on Dunc and Holder.
We were limping to the finish line.
But I really hate how you're easy to crack. Because when beer runs down in front of my
totally
back,
grumpy.
Well, that, my friends, is quite yucky.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
I'm telling you, I'm like just
U.S. women's national team versus Korea
Bullying's
Republic.
not cool, guys.
What's that?
I don't know.
Friday from the Fox 8 Weather Center. I'm meteorologist
I do have my
Shelby Latino,
upset
and
pick. I
while
did have
we'll
an
see
upset
slightly
pick,
less
and I got a
humidity
couple
around
rocks,
today, temperatures will still climb into the upper
have to look at
80s,
it,
making
try to
for a
get-
warm
I don't even
afternoon.
know who's playing.
And overnight, we'll fall into the upper 60s on the North Shore, low 70s on the South Shore, ahead of another warm afternoon tomorrow, with highs getting to near 90. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shelby Latino. Have a great day.
If you owe more than $12,000 in private student loans, call Optima Advocates for a free consultation to see if you qualify for an overall principal and interest reduction at 800-348-2707. That's 800-348-2707.
Message and data rates may apply.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 150 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll learn the same degree as you would on campus from wherever you are on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, text COURSE to 35517. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best quality qualified graduates and why 87% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU online degrees, text COURSE to 35517. That's COURSE to 35517.
Hey guys, Ryan Seacrest here.
Fantasy stud.
Macy's wants to send you and 3 friends to
Got
one
my
of the biggest
fantasy
concerts
stud,
of the
got
year,
my
the
upset of the week.
2017
Okay.
iHeartRadio Jingle Ball in New York City
And
on
then lock
December
of the
8th.
week.
It's
gotta pick a lock.
one hot lineup you don't want to miss,
Oh,
including
okay, I
Liam
got lock
Payne,
of the
Sam Smith, the Chainsmokers, Halsey, Camila Cabello, Fall Out Boy, Niall, Demi, and
Coming back.
Okay.
brought to you by the magic of Macy's.
So soon?
And for your chance to win right now, iHeartRadio.com/Macy's. No purchase necessary. For official rules and full contest details,
Half
visit
hour, we gotta finish strong.
iHeartRadio.com/Macy's.
Going deep on the teams you care about. Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Jeff, didn't you argue about Fiddle Friday or Fiddlesticks Friday
Yes.
or something like that?
Fiddlesticks. No, it's fiddle.
Fiddlesticks!
Any fiddle music is good music. It's impossible to have a fiddle in the music, in the song, and it be bad. It's impossible.
So, if the Macarena had a fiddle in it, it would be awesome?
Yes. If they had fiddle and Stand Up and Get Crunk, I would like it. Otherwise, I do not like Stand Up and Get Crunk. I'm over it.
I know you're over it, but you know what? You know who's not over it? Teron Armstead. He's not over it. He
Nice
wants to
segue.
get in. He wants to get into it, and it looks like he's going to get into it. He's been out with the shoulder problem, knee problem. He's been banged up for the past seemingly like 2.5 years. And I could tell you though, talked with him in the locker room, and he seems healthy. He seems happy. He's fired up to get back on the field. And even though he's been limited in practice the last couple of days for the Saints, it seems like he's going to be getting in. And he said, look, he's done, which is accurate. He said that he participated in some team drills, and that means he is limited in practice. But look, I think that the Saints could absolutely use him. And let's hear from some thoughts from Teron Armstead. And let's just start with what's it like to just even be back practicing again.
Feels great. I've been excited all week. Got a chance to get some team reps, so been good.
How close does he feel to return to the field?
Just daily progression, no setbacks. Just trying to see as much as I can do every day, and looking forward to Sunday. Don't know exactly what that'll be, but
I know what it's going to be.
He's being cryptic.
Here's the key in media world. If a guy's talking to you and he's happy and he's been hurt, he's probably going to be playing.
Yeah. When he's just when he's not saying he's not going to play.
Right.
Because they would usually say, hey, I'm not going to play. But he clearly, I think, is going to be out there.
Yeah. Let's hear what Teron Armstead had to say on balancing of trying to push yourself to get back in the lineup but not suffering a setback after having shoulder surgery.
yeah, I mean, with the injury like I had, there's only so much you can do until it's healed. So since it's healed up and been pushing it every day, so it kind of limits you on its own, and that's definitely been a challenge.
And we've talked about it already on the show, and you've seen it, how much the offensive line has had to jumble through all the injuries. Who's the only person I feel like that hasn't been injured or moved? It's probably Larry Warford. I know Andres Pete has played, but he's had to move all around. So there's been so much instability, say, OTAs, mini camps, training camp, preseason games, regular season. It's been a jumbled mess. And Armstead has been part of the problem because, of course, he's been hurt. But here's Teron Armstead on how he thinks the offensive line is held up in his absence.
Yeah, it's been guys moving around left and right, and I think we've been really good up front, been strong up front. A lot of love to Senio, playing tackle, guard, and Ramczyk as a rookie moving from left tackle to right tackle. It's been amazing.
And you got to agree because, look, Drew Brees is one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. You've kept him clean. And even though the running game hasn't been on fire, when you've had to run the football, especially the last 2 weeks, you've been able to get it done.
Yeah, I think the offensive line, considering everything that's happened, has been one of the strengths of the team. Certainly when you look around the league, there are many offensive line issues. We see it in Green Bay with all the injuries they've had. The New York Giants are a dumpster fire offensive line. Carolina's had issues with their offensive line. But the Saints, despite losing their stud left tackle, have managed. And they now lost their right tackle, Zach Strief. And, I forgot that Armstead, the Saints gave him like a $65 million contract and really haven't got a lot of return on that investment because he's been hurt the whole time.
Exactly. And it's the shoulder injury. I remember a couple of fans were saying, get rid of Armstead, this, that, the other. I mean, this was like a freak injury. I mean, he tore his shoulder up. He hit like a tackling dummy. It was total freak injury, but look, he feels like he's ready to go. But here's the thing. You mentioned Zach Strief. You're down a tackle, and it's unbelievably crazy timing how Zach Strief goes down, and it looks like Teron Armstead's coming back. But Teron was asked if there was pressure on him to get back because Zach was out.
I want to play anyway. So pressure's been on me since my injury, since surgery. So I want to play.
I think he understands. He's got a lot to live up to because he's never made a Pro Bowl, even though he is a Pro Bowl caliber player when he's healthy. And he's got this contract that he's got to live up to.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And he is one, I think, evolved and matured into one of the real leaders on this team. He's very widely respected by his offensive line teammates. Drew Brees has nothing but praise for Teron Armstead, and yet they haven't had a chance to really see what he can do because he's been so banged up the last few years. And he talked about also that his knee is now back in shape. So that's another thing people forgot. I mean, he had a bad knee injury and has had that off and on for 2 years.
Well, let's hear what Teron Armstead had to say. He was asked if he was 100% healthy, including the knee injury.
100%.
Yeah. I mean,
100%.
Is this was that a relief, or was that already 100% back in?
No, I wasn't 100 back in OTA, but 100% now.
Why don't we hear, and let's reverse back here, Dave, to Drew Brees. Look, he didn't confirm that Teron Armstead was playing, but we're all putting the 2 and 2 and 3 and 3 together that he's going to play. But let's hear what Drew Brees had to say on Teron Armstead and what he brings to the line when he's completely healthy.
Listen, he brings such, I think, a presence and a confidence to the group. We know what a good player he can be, when he's healthy. And obviously he's battled that the last couple of years. But, I think there's just a toughness and a presence and a confidence that he brings that will be great to have.
No doubt about it. And we don't know how long Zach Strief's going to be out. Sean Payton alluded to that maybe he could be a short-term IR to where you get Zach Strief back maybe the last month of the season. But you can't go on and expect to be a good offensive line if you're without both of your starting tackles, because I don't think in the long term you wanted Andres Pete and Ryan Ramczyk as your tackles, because somewhere along the line either Pete's not – I don't think Pete's the best tackle there that you would have on the team. He's literally the fourth best tackle you'd have on your team. And then you move him and your guard spot is in trouble because, look, Sanio Calamete, he's a backup by design. So the fact that you're getting Armstead seemingly back, that's got to be a huge sigh of relief for Drew Brees, for Sean Payton, for the offense as a whole.
I got a question for you.
I like questions.
All right, Teron Armstead comes back this week. The line solidifies. Everybody's in their spot. They play really well. What happens when Zach Strief comes back? Do you think they insert him back in? What if Ramczyk holds down the fort? I mean, he's your future at right tackle. What happens?
I think it depends on how he plays. And you can't worry about feelings at this point with the Saints. You can't worry about Adrian Peterson's feelings. You could tell the Saints, they at least worried that, look, they were willing to trade him, but if there was no trade partner, they were going to have to just park him on the bench. And I think if Ramczyk is playing so well, I think you just ride with him. And I think Zach Strief would understand he is the quintessential pro. I think he would understand that completely. But if Ryan Ramczyk, if he's not playing as well as maybe you would assume Zach Strief, you replace him. But it just depends on how he's playing.
And it depends on, I think, where the team is at that point, which, what would it be?
Call.
When would it be? Like week?
Maybe 13, 14, 15, right. Something like that.
So by that time, but boy, that's a great luxury to have. You bring back a guy like Zach Strief that started and played so well. I mean, he played really well last year. And if he's your swing tackle, your third tackle, what a great situation for him. And let's hope he does come back, because I would hate to see him end his career, if that is in fact what happens, on an injury like that. With this team going the way they're going right now, I know he wants to be a part of it.
No doubt about it. Why don't we take one final break here on the show, and when we get back, Jeff is going to probably throw me about 10 curveballs. He's given me the new picks format, and I'm worried. You're going to throw something at me where I'm totally caught off guard. I'm afraid.
Lock of the week, upset of the week. Listeners have been waiting for 2 hours for these picks. I'm excited. And I have some good picks this week.
They haven't been waiting for that.
Yes, they have.
They've been waiting for the weekend.
I'm telling myself that.
They've been waiting for the weekend.
Delusional Dunc.
Exactly. That's not the first time you've been called that, and won't be the last time you've been called that. Here on Sports 1280, I didn't say I called you that. I'm just saying Sir Jeff on Twitter is going to come out and get you, since you're Roger Goodell's, lackey. Is that what you've been called before in life?
A few times, yes.
Once or twice.
You saw where Roger Goodell's wife has a fake Twitter account. Did you see that?
What?
We'll talk about that when we come back.
That's the curveball I was waiting for here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder. No.
Uses a fake Twitter account to defend her husband.
Oh my God! What?
Sky falling already for local football fans?
4 till 6.
I don't know which team looked worse.
Sports 1280.
The name of the account
New
is
Orleans.
Tyler Perry is one of the most important figures in Hollywood.
It was closed soon after the Wall Street Journal story ran.
Abuse at the hands of his father.
What'd you pray for? His death.
She admitted
it. Incredible life story told through cherished objects.
These are from Walmart.
No,
they're from Walmart.
The twists and turns that define his life.
Oh,
Objectify Tyler Perry. This Sunday on Fox News Channel, 8 p.m. Eastern,
she used to be a
5
TV
Pacific. And then
like
again
anchor.
at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific.
Running low on the stuff you need? Time for a Target run. We're here for all the big moments and the little ones too. Like a fall cleaning frenzy and 10% off cleaning products from Mrs. Meyer's, 7th Generation, and Watkins. Or a pumpkin carving party. Find the best jack-o'-lantern and an awesome deal with large pumpkins for only $4.99 each. Plus, we've lowered prices on hundreds of Market Pantry and Up and Up items.
1 minute.
Baking essentials, vitamins, and more. Target run and done. Pricing may vary. Restrictions may apply.
Do you want more from your child's education? Do you want them to be surrounded by knowledgeable and professional staff and teachers? Then consider Paul L. Dunbar School. Serving students from pre-kindergarten to the 8th grade, Dunbar provides students with access to brand new state-of-the-art facilities and teachers who are dedicated to their success. Find out more. Go to enrollnola.org.
I know. It would be fun to show to Drew. See what he just said.
Hello, I'm Allie McGraw for People for the Ethical Treatment.
All right, 10 seconds.
Animal companions rely on us, especially during a natural disaster. If you're forced to evacuate your home, do not leave your animals behind. Visit helpinganimals.com.
In constant sorrow through his day.
Dunc and Holder now. Josh Innes next at noon on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
I need to hear a jug on a Country Fried Friday. A little jug, maybe a kazoo in a song.
A jug.
Yeah.
A triangle.
Right, exactly. A little triangle. Some sort of unorthodox instrument on a Country Fried Friday.
I'm sure there is a jug in there somewhere. We just can't hear it. That's my guess.
I don't know how you become a jug player. How does that even happen?
Alcohol's involved.
Sure. Probably moonshine. I would
yeah.
assume. All right, Jeff. Give me what you got. I have no idea how this pick segment goes. I barely know who's even playing in the NFL this week outside of Saints and Lions. I know Carolina got beat by the Eagles, and now they're 5-1. Did you get that pick right, even though we're not picking all the games?
Screwed it up. I went back and forth. Went back and forth on that game because both teams have been so good this year, and I just went with the home team. And Carolina is this Jekyll and Hyde team. They've lost their last 2 games at home, and they go on the road and beat the Patriots and Lions.
Talk about enigma. I mean, my gosh. 1 week, Cam Newton looks like he could be an MVP candidate, and then he's throwing picks left and right. So it's pretty remarkable. But look, at least it gives the Saints a shot at getting back in this division. So, okay, your format. I don't know. I'm just going to freewheel it here. So what are we doing with these picks
Well,
now?
instead of doing 16 picks, yes, thank you, Dave, and boring everybody, including ourselves, I want a upset pick of the week from you.
All right.
Which means you have to pick somebody that's obviously an underdog on the spread to win the game.
All right.
And our listeners want to know
to win
that.
straight up?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes, you got to win the game. So my upset pick of the week, I'll give you time to marinate, is the Minnesota Vikings, which I can't believe they're underdogs at home against the Packers. They're 3-point underdogs. I think they're going to win the game straight up.
Why?
Well, the reason they are underdogs is because Case Keenum is a quarterback, but I don't think people realize Case Keenum's number 10 right now in the league. He's playing well, and that defense is very good, as you know. The Vikings are one of 3 teams in the league that are in the top 10 in offense and defense. I think they're a good all-around team. We saw them in person. That's a good team. So I think they win the game straight up. I think Green Bay can only pull so many rabbits out of there. I mean, Aaron Rodgers with these incredible last-minute drives. They beat Cincinnati that way, and they beat Dallas that way last week. I don't think they're going to continue to live on the edge like that and be successful.
Well, you look at Sam Bradford against the Bears, and he was shell-shocked. Like, they had to replace him.
Yeah.
And Case Keenum, he put a spark in him and got the game won. So, okay, I can.
You like that pick?
I can sort of see that, but I'm not going that way.
Okay.
I've got my own upset pick. And you're probably going to think I'm insane, but that's okay. The Bears are going to beat the Ravens.
What?
Mitchell Trubisky, he's coming to play.
That's not a bad pick. I could see that. The Bears are not bad.
They're not bad.
The defense is pretty good.
Look, the Ravens lost 44-0 to Jacksonville. I think the Bears could pull off a 2-point win at Baltimore.
They need a win, yeah. I could see that happening. And I think don't sleep on the Bears. I think they've got a good defense. They've invested a lot, and they run the ball. And you're right, the Ravens are a very schizophrenic team. I'm not sure how good they are. I'm not sure how good anybody in the AFC North is.
Me neither.
The Steelers don't look very good. Who's going to win the division?
Not Cleveland. I'll just throw that out there. I'll stand on that branch. Not Cleveland.
It's not going to be the Bengals either. Sorry,
No.
Catherine Terrell.
Oh.
But, I mean, come on.
You ruined her hopes and
They're
dreams.
not very good either. Speaking of offensive line problems. Okay, let's switch gears now back to the lock of the week.
Lock of
Yes.
the week. Okay.
In other words, there's no way, lead pipe cinch, that this team is going to win the game. And I'm taking the New England Patriots. They're 9.5-point favorites at the Jets. Even though the Jets are 3-2, I think they're frauds. And
Yes, they're frauds.
New England has won 11 of the last 13 games against the Jets, and I think it's going to be 12 of 14.
But their defense stinks. What if – who's even the quarterback? Josh McCown?
Josh McCown, yeah. He's
He might
actually
catch
not
on
playing.
fire.
He's not playing terrible right now. They run the ball pretty well, and they've got a good defense, headlined by Jamal Adams at free safety. But they're going to get torched by Brady.
Saints fans are going to hate my lock of the week. It's Atlanta.
That seems like a lot.
Atlanta is an 11-point favorite at home over the Dolphins, and they might win by 30.
I agree.
They might win by
11
30.
is not enough. They lost at home to the Bills, and then they had a bye week. So they had to marinate on that loss for 2 weeks, and now they get the bad Dolphins coming in. It's going to be ugly.
Smoking Jay Cutler is going to be pouting again.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like 20-point victory.
It could easily be that. Yeah.
So that's an easy one. There's not a lot of good games this week. There's a lot of like lopsided
Well,
ones.
Saints-Lions are a good game.
Yeah, that's a good
gonna
one.
be one of the better
I think Washington's a lock at home against the 49ers. I saw this stat. I used it in my NFL picks column where the San Francisco 49ers have not won a game when they played in an Eastern time zone since like 2014. Whenever they've come east, now I realize they haven't been very good the last 3 years either.
I was about to say, they haven't won many games, period.
But they haven't come close. I think their average margin of defeat is like 16 points when they played in the Eastern Time Zone. And here they are flying across the coast to play Washington. And Washington's one of those other teams I mentioned earlier about the Vikings. This might surprise you. They are in the top 10 in offense and defense. They're one of 3 teams. It's kind of surprised me because I just don't think of them being that good defensively, but I guess they are.
Junior Gillette all day.
Is he back playing? He's back playing, right?
Yes.
Ryan Kerrigan. I mean, who's on that defense that I don't even know.
Josh Norman.
I know that the rookie they got from Bama is playing well, Jonathan Allen.
Yes.
He's playing well.
Yes.
They're kind of a no-name team, the Redskins. You think about it. The running backs are Rob Kelly and Chris Thompson, I think.
Fat Rob, Tulane's own Fat Rob Kelly.
Yeah, who's their lead receiver?
Terrell Pryor. Well, they got rid of, let's see, Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson. All their receiving core basically left, and so that's but I agree. I don't know what to make of them, but anybody playing San Francisco, you probably got a pretty good shot.
All right, well, let's fast forward now to our fantasy football stud of the week. Who's going to blow up this week and have a huge game offensively? I guess we'll make this an offensive category.
I can't just say a defense like Jacksonville's defense.
Well, you could. That's a fantasy football stud.
I'm not going to do that. Deshaun Watson, he's going to blow up again. He's playing the Browns, and he played awesome against Kansas City. He's going to be huge. Deshaun Watson.
I could see that. He's really, really playing well right now. And Houston finally has a quarterback, it looks like. It makes you wonder.
Their defense is going to be the problem now.
Yeah, without who is it? Whitney Marcellus and
Whitney Merciless and J.J. Watt.
Right, both of them out. But they're still pretty good on defense, even without those guys. They still got Clowney. That's a team that I think could still continue to win despite losing what they've lost. Okay, so my fantasy football stud of the week, and this is a kind of a random one, but I like Phillip Rivers going against the Raiders. I think the Chargers might win again. That would be another upset of the week. They got off the schneid last week, and they lost a lot of close games going back to last year. And now they get the Raiders at Oakland. I think they win the game straight up.
Jeff is so fired up, he just punched the mic.
He knocked it over.
He just punched the mic. Raiders, you're going down. Boom! He just punches the mic.
Sorry about that.
That's glorious.
All right, so it's a little more of a peppy NFL segment
I'm good with it.
as opposed to 16 games. I'll take the Texans, Larry. No, I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
He's been complaining about the pick segment since it was born. And it's only been born for like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. You're like, I'm done with it.
The show is evolving.
I'm done with it.
Duncan Holder is an evolution. Yes. Thank you, Dave.
Go.
So I don't think it's a great weekend for games. I think the Saints game is one of the better ones. But otherwise, I mean, do you see what the Monday night game is? It's terrible. Let me look it up real quick.
Good radio.
Colts, Titans.
Oh.
Jacoby Brissett against Matt Castle. That might be the worst Monday night game in history. The ratings will be like a -3.
They don't even have Jabba Fett to save the day with a commercial.
Exactly.
They don't even have that.
I'd even watch Star Wars before I'd watch the Colts Titans.
Wow.
You were just digging this hole deeper, Jeffrey.
Totally digging it.
That's got to be one of the. Maybe they should flex out of that Monday night game. That's a terrible game. And the Giants Broncos is the Sunday night game. That's not much better.
No, not much better.
I mean, how bad is Eli going to get beat up by that Denver defense?
That's going to be rough. But
Von Miller going against that offensive line.
Saints Lions. I got Saints 24, Lions 21. Jeff, who you got?
I took Saints 26-24. We're thinking along the same lines. It's going to be a close game. I don't think the Saints cover the spread. I think they win the game.
Well,
it's my pick.
Then we're picking them to be above 500 for the first time since 2013. That means they're destined to fail. So, want to thank Ron Higgins. Want to thank Jim Derry. Again, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube if you missed any of today's show.
10 seconds.
Dave, have a good weekend, buddy. Ignore Jeff's nonsense.
Guys.
And we will be back here on Monday on Dunc and Holder. Can we run?
Allison is perfect. I mean,
thanks, buddy.
Guys. See y'all next week.
All right, thanks.
She likes everyone. She even likes her untitled roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison?